Welcome to The Proud Psychologist, the fortnightly podcast that focuses on how LGBTQ peeps can look after and nurture their mental health. Brought to you by me, Carol, an LGBTQ coaching psychologist and hypnotherapist. This podcast will help you learn as well as proactively tend to your mental health. Hello everyone, and welcome to the 7th episode of The Proud Psychologist. Today I have a slightly different one for you, and we are going to look at what we can learn from the film Inside Out. This is a fantastic film that speaks to people of all ages and never fails to make me cry. Before we get started, there are going to be spoilers in this. If you missed it in the cinema, it is available on Disney Plus, as well as your usual options of DVD, etc. Also, this film conflates the emotions of joy and happiness. So while they are different from each other, throughout the film and throughout this episode, the two terms will be used interchangeably. Okay, now that's done, let's get into it. The film Inside Out is about a kid called Riley who is, I think, about 12 or 13, and the film starts with Riley and her parents moving house. The focus of Inside Out is on the 5 different emotions in Riley's head: joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust. These are not randomly chosen emotions, as they are considered the 5 universal emotions that people from all cultures can accurately recognise in others. So, joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust are personified as distinctive beings inside of Riley's head, where they have a control panel and they control or influence her behaviour in response to the situations Riley finds herself in. They work together to keep Riley happy and safe. In addition to this, they are also responsible for holding, storing and recalling Riley's memories. Each memory is depicted as a glowing orb, and they are each associated with an emotion. Yellow orbs are happy memories, blue are sad, green for disgust, purple for fear, and red memory orbs are associated with anger. This film also introduces the concept of core memories, which contribute to the main aspects of a person's personality. They depict this by having islands to represent each aspect/core memory. In Riley's case, all of her core memories are happy ones, and she is a bit goofy, really into hockey, does well at school, and has strong bonds with her parents. The film explores the impact that moving to a different part of the country, changing schools, etc., has on Riley through the prism of her emotions. So, personally, I don't like joy from the start. She demonstrates many traits associated with toxic positivity for the majority of the film. This shows up in her thinking that it is of the utmost importance that Riley is happy all of the time. We all would prefer to feel happy over sad, angry, fearful, or disgusted, but that is just not realistic. We need a range of emotions to stay safe and cannot just deny them when they come up. Joy's insistence that happiness is the most important and the most desired experience results in her dismissing or minimising the value that the other emotions hold. She tries to control and silence other emotions to the point of imposing a good vibes only type policy, though she does not say those words. This is evident at multiple points, starting from the moment that Riley is exploring the new house, and fear, anger, disgust, and sadness are all colouring the memories being made. I feel for sadness throughout the whole film. Sadness is the hero of Inside Out in my eyes. Yet she also bears the brunt of Joy's need to enforce only happy influences on Riley more than the others. There's one scene where they are preparing Riley for the first day at her new school, and Joy is delegating jobs to all the other emotions except for sadness. When sadness wants to contribute, Joy draws a circle on the ground and instructs sadness to keep all of the sad feelings inside the circle. So she does this because Sadness had been changing previously happy memories into sad ones. So in this scene, Joy is acknowledging the validity of disgust in making sure that Riley looks her best, fear in ensuring Riley is prepared for the day ahead with all the potential things that could go wrong, and anger in preparing the daydreams for the day. By banishing Sadness to the circle of sadness and not allowing her out, Joy is rejecting that she could have anything of value to offer. Things all go wrong when Sadness leaves the circle and is responsible for changing another memory from happy to sad, resulting in Riley crying on her first day at school. The memory of crying at school then becomes a sad core memory. Joy freaks out because Riley now has a sad core memory rather than all happy ones, and she tries to get rid of this core memory by sending it down to long-term memory. But Joy, Sadness, and all of Riley's other core memories end up dumped there too. Joy and Sadness need to work together more than ever now, as it is a long way back to the headquarters, and all the time that Joy is not in headquarters, Riley is not able to tap into happy feelings. Joy continues to consider Sadness as a nuisance on their journey back to headquarters, where she still dismisses and minimises Sadness's importance. This is all despite there being multiple points along the way that show Sadness has value. The most touching of which is when Joy fails to cheer up another character called Bing Bong, who is grieving, but Sadness is able to sit with him and acknowledge his pain. It takes a long time for Joy to appreciate that Sadness is a vital part of the emotional experience. By the time that she does change her perspective, Sadness has actually internalized the toxic positivity and declares that Joy should just leave her down in long-term memory. Thankfully, Joy takes Sadness back to HQ with her anyway and implores Sadness to help Riley before it's too late. Through expressing her feelings of sadness, Riley is able to reconnect with her parents. This is the moment when Riley's first mixed emotion memory, and a core memory at that, is created, characterised by both sadness and happiness. This film is brilliant for highlighting the need to embrace all of our emotions, rather than holding some up as more important than others. It is only when joy, sadness, fear, anger, and disgust work together that Riley is able to properly function in life. Up until that point, the internal conflict cuts her off from being able to experience her life fully, and not just because two of her emotions were not in HQ. At its very essence, this film rejects hierarchy of importance or value amongst the different emotions. Joy is no more important than sadness, who is no more valuable than fear, and so on. I also love how they depict the fact that emotions can colour memories, and how they demonstrate the fact that we can hold conflicting emotions at the same time. After that first mixed emotion memory, we do get shown the headquarters on a different day, where there are many mixed emotion memories. So they hold true to this message of, we do experience more than one thing at any given moment. One thing that this story shows us, without necessarily putting language to it, is that emotions come and go. They demonstrate multiple times that Riley goes through a range of emotions in the space of a minute or so. So the emotions can all rear their heads, be felt, and subside quite quickly. This is indicative of us being separate from our emotions. Riley is still Riley, whatever she's feeling. She doesn't change just because her emotions have. There is also recognition in Inside Out that our emotions communicate things to us. This is beautifully demonstrated when they put ideas to Riley through the symbolism of light bulbs. The general use of the control panel in headquarters is the emotions communicating with Riley too, though not exclusively. Through the emotions use of the control panel, they tell Riley whether to laugh, cry, or shout at someone, etc. Her emotions don't just float around inside of her head, they interact with her and influence her actions. This all needs some communication between the emotions and Riley. I do love how Inside Out acknowledges that good ideas can be born out of emotions other than happiness as well. So, one of the deeper and more obvious messages this film contains is that denying the validity of negative emotional experiences is damaging. It cuts us off from the ability to make positive changes or adapt to things that happen to or around us. This is seen through the treatment of sadness. When Joy and the others are denying the value of sadness, Riley is unable to process her loss, grief, and sadness. This then has the knock-on effect of not being able to adapt well to changes in life, like starting a new school, settling into a new home and town, etc. Because resources are busy keeping a lid on those feelings which have been deemed undesirable, unhelpful, and subsequently have been dismissed. The other big life lesson portrayed in Inside Out is that there is power in acknowledging difficult or painful emotions. By taking time to do this, it makes it okay to feel those emotions, even if it doesn't make it easy. If we allow ourselves to feel our emotions, they resolve themselves and we can move on. This point is wonderfully demonstrated with sadness sitting with and acknowledging Bing Bong's feelings of loss and sadness. After crying it out, Bing Bong stands up, dusts himself off, and says, "I'm okay now." If you have ever had a good old cry and then, while still snivelly, spoken those words, you know how much of a release and sometimes a relief it can be. While this film does deal almost exclusively with the relationship between joy and sadness, this principle holds true for other emotions too. All of our emotions need to be felt before they can be resolved. They did a brilliant job with Inside Out, in my opinion, with providing an entertaining, emotional, and educational film. It is oversimplified in how it portrays emotions by only using the universally recognised 5, rather than a more comprehensive character list. But this was most likely a decision made to keep the story streamlined enough for a film, let alone a Disney Pixar film. It would have been far too unwieldy to include more nuanced emotions, as you can quickly reach triple digits this way. This film provides a good basis for establishing a level of emotional intelligence. It introduces key points in subtle and not so subtle ways, which makes it great for watching again and again. Now, I would love to hear your personal thoughts on the film Inside Out. So please do drop me a message, an email or whatever. You can find the details on how to contact me in the description below. Okay, well, thank you very much, and I will see you for the next episode.